Hi, my name is Prof van Bever, and I'm a member of Clay Christensen's teaching team here at Harvard Business School. Many of you are perhaps alumni of our course at the school entitled Building and Sustaining a Successful Enterprise, or BSSE in the shorthand of the school. In our course, we teach our students how to use theory to help guide the decisions that they make as managers, and in particular, we try to help them spot what makes a good theory. There are really two attributes that we look for. First, it's got to have a causal driver. It has to explain what causes what to happen and why. And then second, it's got to be circumstance bounded. You understand the conditions in which it operates and those in which it doesn't. Now, we review about 20 theories across the course of a typical term, but the first and by far the most famous theory that we put under the magnifying glass is Clay's theory of disruption. Disruption is also the theory that is the most misunderstood. The world has taken this term and stretched it beyond all useful meaning. So the world says that things that are inconvenient are disruptive, or things that are super cool are disruptive, or things that incorporate new technology are disruptive. Now, all of these things can be true, but they're not typically true. Disruption typically doesn't present in a super cool way. Because of this, one of the first things that we do in BSSE is to try to put disruption back into its box, to establish what it is, why it works, and under what conditions it works. And the reason that we're so focused on this is that disruption confers unusual benefits in terms of growth trajectory and in terms of overall enterprise potential. For that reason, it's relatively rare and extremely valuable. So we try to be very precise about when disruption occurs. Most of the things the world calls disruptive might not be, and as managers or investors or advisors to business, we need to understand this term with some precision. So first of all, how can you tell if something is disruptive? Let me give you a very quick primer. So this will bring back shudders of recognition to our alumni of our course. This is the basic disruption framework in which we identify three kinds of competitors. First, competitors that we call incumbents on the so-called sustaining trajectory. This would be, in the big box world, perhaps Walmart competing with Costco, competing with Target, driven by the desire, the pursuit of profit, the desire to earn more money by creating better products and services for existing customers. That's sustaining competition. By far, the most competition that occurs in the world is along this trajectory. Then below that, we have low-end disruption. So entrants who come into the market with a sustainably lower cost position and who are able to appeal to the least attractive customers of the existing competitors. So they kind of are able to eat their way up from the bottom. Finally, new market disruption. These are entrants who come in and appeal to segments of the market that the traditional competitors have written off as being uninteresting or unreachable. So in our terminology, these are competitors who target non-consumption, who offer customers who have not historically had access to the products in the core market to, for the first time, to some stripped down version of those products. So our three litmus tests, three questions you want to ask of a potentially disruptive innovator. First, for low-end disruption, are there customers at the low end of the market who would be happy to purchase a less good product at lower cost? For new market disruption, is there a large population of people who historically have not had the money, equipment, or skill to be able to purchase the product and who would be delighted by being offered anything? And then third, a kind of a litmus test that cuts across both categories, is the innovation disruptive to all of the significant incumbents? Now, one of the ways that we practice using our theories is to ask our students to bring in articles that hit their news feeds of companies that the world thinks of as disruptive, that we can then evaluate against our standards to see what judgments we come to. A couple of recent examples that were brought to class. The first is an article from CityLab on a company called Katerra. This is a completely vertically integrated construction company headquartered in Menlo Park, California, and with more than a dozen offices in the US and around the world. The company was founded in 2015 and recently received $865 million in VC funding led by SoftBank. Now, Katerra caught our students' attention because the article was entitled, "Can Silicon Valley Disrupt How We Build?" Through our discussion in class, we came to the conclusion that Katerra is a really cool company. Huge ambition, seeking to vertically integrate in the construction business from initial design all the way down to the manufacture of screws and bolts that hold the completed building together. And integrating all of these elements offers the promise of compressing timelines and centralizing risk. But is it disruptive? Let's look at our tests. First, it's not low-end disruption, certainly. It's not coming in offering a lower cost proposition than the incumbents offer. Margins are thin in the construction business, and Katerra doesn't want to compete on that basis. Similarly, it's not clear that Katerra is targeting non-consumption. I guess what would have to be true is that projects that otherwise would not be initiated and funded and completed would exist now because Katerra exists. So unless we're wrong about either of those assertions, unless Katerra is going to come in and compete on low cost, or unless Katerra by its very presence expands the market, it looks like a sustaining competitor to existing design and construction firms, which is fine. We'll wish them good luck, and we'll conclude that they'll need it to compete against entrenched incumbents. The second company our students brought in to examine is called Opendoor, which operates in the real estate business. This company was featured in an article in The Economist titled "Tech Firms Disrupt the Property Market." Now, Opendoor is one of the new breed of companies called iBuyers, or instant buyers, using algorithms that incorporate characteristics of the home and of its surrounding neighborhood. Opendoor calculates an on-the-spot appraisal for which it charges about 6% of the value of the home as a fee. So no hassle, fast, a large market, which they estimate at 2 to 3 million homes per year. But is it, as the article suggests, disruptive? It's not cheaper. In fact, in some ways, they leave a little cushion in the appraisal and they charge as much or more than traditional real estate agents. So it's not cheaper by any stretch. Second, it's an open question of whether it will stimulate non-consumption. Will the advent of iBuying enlarge the number of homes sold each year? Is the hassle of going through that process so great that there's a significant number of people who don't even try? Open question. But really, where we're concerned for Opendoor is on this third litmus test. Is the innovation disruptive to all of the significant incumbents? The article notes that Zillow is launching its own iBuyer, and while Zillow is a young company by anybody's standards, relative to Opendoor, it's an incumbent. So Opendoor is facing off against an incumbent that is similarly motivated to pursue this opportunity. And that typically spells trouble for an entrant. So it's not a knockout punch for Opendoor, but we're no longer dealing with a disruptive positioning. So what have we discussed here today? First, the term disruption means something very precise. Second, disruptive positioning confers unusual benefits and growth potential. Third, much of what the world calls disruptive isn't. And then finally, as innovators and investors and advisors, it's best for us to be clear-eyed and precise about this, even when journalists sometimes aren't. So, see you in the classroom and see you in the business pages. Thanks for your attention.